Imagine you run a logistics company,
Yeah.
right? And your CFO walks into your office absolutely thrilled.
Okay.
And they say, great news. The cost of diesel fuel is projected to drop by 90% over the next few years. You'd think, I mean, incredible, right? Our profit margins are going to soar. Our fuel bills are going to plummet.
Yeah. I mean, it seems like a guaranteed massive win. The fundamental resource powering your entire operation is suddenly just dirt cheap.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But then you get your budget report at the end of the year, and somehow your fuel expenses haven't just stayed the same. They have actually skyrocketed.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. A complete financial paradox. And yet, this is exactly the bizarre, totally counterintuitive reality playing out in enterprise technology budgets across the globe right now.
It really is.
So welcome to another deep dive. Today, our mission is to solve a massive, honestly kind of hidden paradox in modern tech budgets. We want to figure out why enterprise AI bills are exploding, even though the actual cost of AI computing is falling off a cliff.
It is arguably the single biggest source of anxiety for finance and engineering teams right now, because everyone was promised cheaper AI, and they are getting the exact opposite.
Right, they're getting massive bills. So to figure out what's actually happening under the hood here, we are drawing on a deeply insightful piece written by Krishna Raj Raja.
Yeah, he's the founder and CEO of SupportLogic.
Right, and the author of The Support Experience. His article is titled, Why Are AI Token Costs Rising? How to Fix It? And we're also pulling in some really fascinating case studies from the AI infrastructure space.
Specifically looking at a company called Modico.
Yeah, founded by Chetan Kaneki, just to see how the industry is trying to patch this huge leak.
Yeah.
Okay, let's unpack this. Because to understand the cure, we first need to look at the hard numbers driving the disease, right?
Yeah, and the foundational data here comes from a Gartner projection. This was released in March of 2026. They are projecting that by 2030, the cost to run inference, and by that I mean the computational cost to actually feed data into a massive trillion parameter AI model and get an answer out, is going to drop by more than 90% compared to 2025 levels.
90%. I mean, a 90% deflation in the unit price of commodity AI tokens.
It's massive.
Which brings us right back to our logistics paradox. How is overall enterprise inference spend projected to rise when the core resource is literally 90% cheaper?
Well, because the sheer volume of consumption is climbing geometrically. It's drastically outpacing that price drop.
Okay, so we're just using way more of it.
Exactly. The article points to two massive shifts in how we use AI that are driving this huge volume. And the first is the industry-wide shift toward agentic workflows.
Right. So we're moving away from the old school standard chatbots. Like a year ago, you'd type a question, the model would process it once, spit out a paragraph, then it's just done.
Right.
One task, one model call.
Yeah, that's the old paradigm. But with an agentic workflow, the AI acts more like an autonomous employee.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, you give it a high-level task. It might formulate a multi-step plan, write a query to search a database, read those database results, realize it actually needs more information, run a web search.
Well, okay.
Summarize all of that, check its own work for errors, and then finally generate an answer for you.
It's essentially having a meeting with itself behind the scenes.
That's a great way to put it.
I actually ran into this last week. I built a custom GPT to analyze a spreadsheet, and I watched my API credits just evaporate.
Oh, I bet.
Because the agent kept looping. It was checking its work, rewriting its code, and rereading the entire chat history on every single loop.
And see, that rereading is exactly where the financial damage happens.
Really?
Yeah. Gartner notes that a single task handed to an agent can require anywhere from 5 to 30 times more tokens than a standard chatbot prompt.
30 times.
Up to 30, yeah. And we need to be clear about what a token actually is computationally.
Right, it's not just a word.
Exactly, it's a fragment of a word. When an AI processes context, every single token has to mathematically interact with every other token in the prompt. It requires serious GPU memory bandwidth and, power.
So if the agent loops 10 times, you are paying the compute cost for it to read the entire growing history of the conversation 10 separate times.
Right, you're paying for it over and over.
Right.
Which brings us to the second culprit driving the volume, which is RA.
Retrieval Augmented Generation.
Exactly. This is how companies ground an AI in their own private data so it doesn't just hallucinate things.
Right.
But typical RA pipelines introduce what the article calls a context tax. They often inflate the prompt's context window by 3 to 5 times.
3 to 5 times,
Yeah.
which means we are basically just shoveling massive blocks of company documents into the prompt.
Pretty much.
I mean, if the price of gas drops 90%, my company travel budget shouldn't skyrocket unless I suddenly traded my sales fleet of sedans for, like, a fleet of armored tanks.
Right.
Are enterprise leaders just treating the symptom here? Like, are they just calling up their cloud providers and begging for bulk token discounts instead of actually fixing the leak in their own architecture?
Unfortunately, that is the default reaction for a lot of companies right now, and it's a losing battle. Krishna Raja's central thesis is that the disease is what we feed the model, not the token price itself.
Right.
The truly expensive part of enterprise AI isn't the thinking, it's the hauling.
The hauling. I love that framing.
Yeah.
Because it really visualizes the actual physical compute happening in the data center.
Yeah, think about what is actively being shoveled into these AI context windows, especially in something like customer support operations.
Oh, can only imagine.
It is raw, incredibly messy, unstructured text. Imagine a customer submits a ticket, right? You have the actual 2 sentences where they explain their problem.
Right.
But attached to that, you have a massive chain of quoted replies, 5 different best regards, email signatures, forwarded internal chains, routing metadata.
Oh, and those massive legal disclaimers at the bottom of every single message.
Exactly. A single email thread could easily be 3,000 or 4,000 tokens of pure noise.
Wow. And if you apply that to the agentic loop we just discussed, the agent is resending that ever-growing noisy conversation back to the AI on every single step of its reasoning process.
You've got it. You are not picked for the AI's brilliant reasoning capabilities. You are paying a massive tax to transport the exact same raw, redundant data past the token meter over and over again across millions of interactions a year.
Okay, so treating the symptom, negotiating cheaper tokens, doesn't work. The volume curve is just too steep.
Way too steep.
We have to transition to an architectural solution. We basically have to stop hauling the noise.
Yes.
This is where SupportLogic's approach really changes the paradigm, right? Their entire engineering mantra is pay for meaning, not volume.
Yeah, and it forces a complete shift in how you build systems. You have to design the waste out from day one. SupportLogic built their cognitive AI cloud around this premise, and they outlined several compounding architectural shifts to kill this context bloat.
Let's get into the mechanics of how they actually do this, starting with the raw data itself. They use something called signal extraction.
Correct.
From my understanding, instead of shoving that entire 4,000 token messy email thread into the AI every time a workflow triggers, their system reads the raw text once at the very beginning of the pipeline.
Exactly, just once.
And it extracts dozens of discrete signals, things like the customer's frustration level, churn risk, or maybe an unmet commitment.
Right. And the output of that extraction is a tiny, highly structured data object. They have a specific sentiment agent that just delivers the hard conclusion, stripping away all the signatures and legal disclaimers we talked about.
I have to push back here, though.
Sure.
If we filter out all that raw, messy dialogue and just send a neat little structured signal that says, frustration high, don't we risk losing the nuanced context that makes AI so powerful in the first place? I mean, isn't the whole magic of large language models their ability to read between the lines of a passive-aggressive email?
If we connect this to the bigger picture, you actually aren't losing the nuance at all.
Really?
No, because the nuance was successfully captured by the AI during that initial ingestion phase.
Oh, I see.
The platform understood the passive-aggressive tone. It understood the urgency. The financial efficiency comes from refusing to force a massive, expensive AI model to reread and reanalyze that exact same nuance 1,000 times a day.
Okay, that makes sense.
You extract the insight once, and you ground your downstream workflows in that pre-computed insight rather than hauling the raw text everywhere.
That makes a lot of sense. You pay for the heavy analysis once, and then you just reference the receipt, basically.
Exactly.
Which logically leads to their next architectural shift, which is decoupling the AI from the CRM. Because in a standard setup, companies just bolt their AI tools directly onto Salesforce or Zendesk, right?
They do, and it creates a catastrophic payload tax.
Payload tax.
Yeah, because a CRM is not designed for AI. It's a relational database full of incredibly heavy data objects.
Right.
If your AI is bolted directly to it, every time the AI needs context on a user, the system has to perform what's called serialization.
Okay, what is that?
It has to take these massive database tables filled with system IDs, empty fields, timestamps, and metadata tags, and physically unpack them into massive strings of raw text just so the language model can read them.
Wait, so you are spending compute power to translate database formatting into text,
Yeah.
and then paying per token for the AI to read through hundreds of irrelevant formatting tags just to find, like, the customer's phone number.
Yes, it's massively inefficient. So SupportLogic's architecture keeps the intelligence layer independent. It's a CRM-less architecture.
Oh, wow.
You extract the human signal from the data outside the CRM, outsmarting the heavy system instead of paying to drag its massive databases into every single prompt.
Okay, so we've stopped hauling the messy email signatures,
Yeah.
and we've stopped serializing heavy CRM databases.
Right.
But what about when the AI actually needs to reference company knowledge?
Right.
Like, if a customer asks a complex technical question, the AI still needs to read the manual. Doesn't that trigger the RA context tax we talked about earlier?
Well, this is where we move from managing the customer's data to managing the company's data.
Okay.
Standard generic RAG usually involves vector search. It chunks up your manuals, finds the most similar chunks, and stuffs thousands of pages into the prompt, just hoping the answer is somewhere in that massive blob of text.
To bring back our logistics analogy, standard RA is basically like packing a massive 18-wheeler moving truck with the entire contents of a house, just to deliver a single teacup to the next town over.
That's a perfect way to visualize it. You are paying fuel for the whole truck.
Right.
SupportLogic combats this with technology from an acquisition they made, XFind. It's now part of their Resolve SX product. And they use precision-guided RA.
Precision-guided.
Yeah, instead of relying on crude similarity searches that return massive document chunks, it isolates the exact specific passage needed to ground the answer. It's the motorcycle courier delivering just the teacup.
And the downstream effect of that is wild, because not only do you use dramatically fewer input tokens, but you actually get a higher quality answer from the AI.
Exactly.
It isn't distracted by 15 pages of irrelevant manual text trying to figure out what matters.
You're increasing the signal-to-noise ratio, and because you've cleaned up the context so thoroughly, it unlocks perhaps the highest impact cost lever of all, which is right-sizing the models.
Yes, it absolutely blows my mind how many companies use frontier models for every single microtask in their organization.
Right. And by frontier model, we are talking about the massive headline-grabbing trillion-parameter models that require literal supercomputer clusters to run.
Right. They're taking an incredibly expensive state-of-the-art supercomputer and they're firing it up just to look at a single chat message and slap a positive or negative sentiment label on it. It's total computational overkill.
It really is. So SupportLogic tackles this by using highly tuned, efficient natural language processing layers, basically smaller, specialized models, to handle that high-volume classification work at a fraction of a penny.
Because they've designed an architecture that breaks tasks down into distinct signals.
Right. They can route the simple tasks to the cheap models and save the massive frontier reasoning models strictly for the complex dynamic generation work that genuinely requires them.
That is so smart. And the final piece of their data architecture ties all of this together. It's the MCP server, or Model Context Protocol.
Yes.
Think about your own company right now. You probably have an engineering team using one AI assistant, marketing using another, and support using a third. Yeah.
Oh, absolutely. Siloed everywhere.
Yeah. And if they all ask a question that touches the same customer data, each of those independent assistants pulls the raw text, reads it, and analyzes it from scratch.
So you are paying the massive extraction tax 3 separate times to 3 separate cloud providers for the exact same insight.
Right. But with the MCP server, it acts as a single centralized intelligence hub.
Exactly.
All of those different assistants, regardless of who makes them, draw from a single well of pre-computed insight. The expensive understanding happens exactly once at ingestion.
Right. You aren't retokenizing the same interaction every time a new department queries it.
You are literally just refusing to do redundant work.
Yes.
Now, here's where it gets really interesting. Because we've firmly established how to cure the disease at the data layer.
Right? Right. The data side is clean.
We are keeping the context bloat out of the prompt. But an AI doesn't just read data. It takes action.
Right.
How does the AI actually execute its tasks? We have to expand our lens from the data layer to the execution layer.
This is a crucial pivot. SupportLogic is fighting the battle by giving the models distilled signal instead of raw transcripts.
Right.
But the agentic stack, those autonomous workflows we discussed earlier, is also wasting a catastrophic amount of compute at the execution layer. The AI is wasting tokens on how it does the work.
On the process itself.
Exactly. And there is a new wave of infrastructure forming to solve this.
The article highlights a really compelling case study here. It's Modico, an AI infrastructure company founded by Chetan Kaneki.
Yeah.
In May 2026, they launched an execution layer called ROTE. That's ROTE.
And the philosophy behind ROTE rhymes perfectly with SupportLogic's approach, but it's applied to action rather than data.
Okay, break that down for us.
Think about the fundamental flaw in how AI agents operate today. They're probabilistic. Every time an agent wakes up to run a task, it essentially starts with a blank slate. It has to re-reason its way through the workflow.
Let's make this concrete. So imagine you have an AI agent designed to process a standard customer refund.
Okay.
A customer asked for their money back. The agent wakes up, reads the request, decides it needs to check the purchase date, queries the database, reads the policy, realizes the item is within 30 days, connects to the payment gateway, and then finally issues the refund.
Right, and it improvised that entire pathway perfectly. But here is the problem. The next day, a different customer asks for the exact same standard refund. The agent wakes up, and it improvises the exact same sequence of thoughts, API calls, and logic checks all over again.
Wait, it is paying full token freight to dynamically figure out a problem it already solved perfectly yesterday.
Yes, it's incredibly expensive improvisation.
Wow.
Exactly. And ROTE changes the paradigm by acting almost as an observer.
An observer.
Yeah, ROTE watches the API calls and the logical steps an agent takes when it succeeds. Once an agent navigates a workflow perfectly and proves the path is reliable, ROTE captures that specific run.
Okay.
And it transforms the agent's probabilistic guessing into deterministic, replayable code.
By deterministic, we mean it runs exactly the same way every single time, like traditional software.
Right.
It doesn't need a massive neural network to guess or reason the next step. It just executes a hard-coded script.
Yes. The proven workflows are compiled into cheap, repeatable steps. If the refund process is standard, ROTE just triggers the API calls directly.
So you bypass the LLM entirely for the routing logic.
Exactly. You are reserving the massive, expensive AI inference strictly for the edge cases, the parts of the process that genuinely require dynamic, human-like reasoning.
So you completely rein in the context bloat that causes agent runs to balloon in cost.
Yes.
If we synthesize these two halves of the puzzle, the overarching pattern for the future of enterprise tech is incredibly clear.
It really is.
SupportLogic keeps wasteful context out of the prompt at the data layer. Modico keeps wasteful computation out of the loop at the execution layer.
It boils down to the ultimate rule of production AI economics. The absolute cheapest token is the one you never had to spend twice.
So what does this all mean for you, the listener? The ultimate takeaway here is that sitting back and waiting for cheaper commodity tokens is not going to save your budget.
No, it won't.
The volume curve of agentic AI is bending upward every single quarter, and it's eating those price drops alive.
The enterprises that actually win on AI economics over the next 5 years will not be the ones who negotiated the best bulk rate with the cloud provider. The winners will be the teams whose underlying architecture inherently refuses to process wasteful context in the first place. This level of efficiency cannot be bolted on after the fact. It must be designed into the foundation from day one.
And this matters deeply for you, whether you are leading a massive enterprise support team, prepping for a critical tech strategy meeting, or even if you are just a solo developer building custom workflows for your own startup.
Absolutely.
You have to look at the architecture you are relying on and ask yourself the hard questions. Are you feeding your AI pure signal, or are you forcing it to haul noise? Are you paying for meaning, or are you just blindly paying for volume?
You know, Krishna Raj Raja points out a really beautiful synergy in his work.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, great customer support has always been about cutting through the frustration and noise to find the genuine human signal beneath it all.
Oh, that's true.
It turns out the exact same principle that makes a support interaction feel more human is the exact same principle that makes it dramatically more efficient to run computationally.
It's rare that the empathetic solution is also the financially optimal one. But as we wrap up this deep dive, I want to leave you with a thought that really pushes the boundaries of where all of this technology is ultimately heading.
Yeah, this raises a profound question philosophically. SupportLogic's entire architectural goal is to filter out the unstructured noise to find the pure, structured human signal, right?
Bro.
And Modico's entire goal is to observe successful, dynamic AI improvisations and compile them down into hard-coded, deterministic, repeatable steps.
Okay, I see where you're going with this.
If we project this trend forward a few years, if we perfectly filter out all the unstructured conversational noise, and we successfully turn all of the AI's probabilistic reasoning back into deterministic code, at what point does artificial intelligence cease to be AI?
Wow.
Does it just become traditional old-school software again, just wearing a much more expensive suit?
Oh, that is a fantastic question to chew on. I mean, by trying to optimize AI, are we just building incredibly complex, expensive pathways straight back to traditional computing?
It's entirely possible.
It is definitely something to think about the next time you look at that massive 90% discounted fuel bill that somehow still manages to break your department's budget.
Thank you so much for joining us on this deep dive. Keep learning, keep questioning the architecture around you, and we will catch you next time.